Welcome back from the coffee break, and we're diving into the session 1, where we got 5 very good participants here in terms of where is the industry and where are we actually going. So when we think about supply chain in a broader sense, so not just container shipping, but also forwarding and air freight and land-based transportation, where are we actually right now in terms of automation and digitalization? And let me maybe be slightly more specific. I'm after your views on where are we actually in reality? And not necessarily what are the hopes and aspirations, but where do you see the industry realistically move within the next, say, 2, 3, 4 years?
I think of the two, that digitalisation is by far the most important and the most pervasive. If we take the container space for a moment, actually, if you look at global volumes, very, very few volumes move through fully automated container terminals. And one of the challenges is automation works better in certain markets, typically markets where labour is very expensive, productivity is low, and/or there might be certain environmental benefits from going fully automated. So if you look at the ICTSI terminal in Melbourne, which is fully automated, obviously that's a market with very expensive and to some extent unreliable labour, but it's also in an urban location, and full automation means it's a much quieter terminal. It also means in terms of light, it's much less intrusive. But the challenge is often in places like Asia, where we have a number of ports, same here, Jebel Ali, with very, very high productivity, and where you have private operators who are very, very focused on return on capital. It's difficult to see that the return on capital invested makes sense. We have a port in China, Tianjin, which I would say is probably the most automated if you really want to look at a leading example, but you will not get any information on return on capital of what it's been. So I think automation has been a slower process. It's certainly true that during COVID, there's been a couple of studies that showed the performance of automated terminals, as you'd expect, was probably more resilient than the non-automated because you had fewer concerns about health, isolating human activity. So if you took a port where there's a mixture of automated and non-automated, so you've standardized most of the other variables, there was a couple of Korean academics who looked at that and there was some improvement. However, it is changing. And if you can see various places in Lam Shabang where Hutchison's rolling out automation, Singapore is looking at it very closely, Westports for their proposed expansion will as well. On the other hand, I think digitalisation is far more pervasive because it lets you also address things about the wider supply chain, taking out some of those paper-based processes, the human-to-human interaction that is completely gums up trade. Secondly, I think for a number of terminal operators, digitalisation can give you huge potential to improve operations without necessarily a wholesale change in investment in automation. So we work with one operator where through IoT devices applied to all their equipment, they have great traceability and visibility of how their equipment moves. And in the first year, they probably had so much data they didn't know what to do with it. They've now got a very sophisticated digital twin, and that digital twin they're going to run simulations on, and that will probably let them strip out half of their yard equipment in terms of better scheduling, getting rid of more redundant moves. And if I was comparing that option, say, to a box bay terminal option, which is quite a high capex intensive structure for densification of yard operations, which also should get rid of redundant moves, it's also quite a high investment and there's a lot of moving parts. So I think digitalisation is probably the most important. And I'd also say the same for automation in the air cargo space. So I've been fortunate to be based in Hong Kong, biggest air cargo airport in the world. We have very unusual terminals, high density, very expensive financial concessions for those terminals, but they're hugely profitable. They run at very high efficiency, but there's still things in there you cannot automate in terms of putting a pallet together. So I think it's digitalisation that is by far the most important. I think COVID has helped turbocharge that. Automation, I think, is going to come, but it's going to be much slower.